Shailene Woodley and Sam Claflin star in Adrift. It's a wild adventure filled with trials, love, and a whole lot of ocean. I thought it was really entertaining and well made. So this is based on a true story about Tammy and Richard. Now, they both meet in Tahiti and their friendship ensues and begins from there. Tammy is this world traveler. She's young, but she has a lot of experience in just the world. She's got some sailing experience because she spent time on some ships and she just goes from port to port, and now she's settled down in Tahiti for a while. Richard is an experienced sailor. He has built his own boat before. He is just somebody that knows his way not only around a ship, but also the ocean. As their friendship grows, they begin to sail around Tahiti and to all the surrounding islands and just go on these adventures. At one point, they come across some of Richard's friends who ask Richard if he can sail their boat from Tahiti to California. And in return, they will pay him a large chunk of money and give him some first-class plane tickets so that he can go back to Tahiti, to where his ship is, or wherever else he wants to go. As they're sailing from Tahiti to California, just out in the open ocean, Richard and Tammy encounter one of the worst or most powerful hurricanes ever recorded. It's Hurricane Raymond. And as they go through that, their boat becomes just terribly damaged, and then they're set adrift. And because they're just floating out there in the nothing, it becomes a fight for survival in the open sea. I love how the story is told by interspersing flashbacks with present, because what happens is we get this non-linear story, and so it really builds and builds because we have adrift and then growing relationship, adrift, growing relationship and experiences, adrift, and back and forth like that. If it was told in a linear fashion, I think it would have been either too depressing or too boring, because once the action happens and then they're just out there and the boat is just drifting and just kind of at the mercy of the tides or the current, not much is happening other than the fight for survival. But because the movie goes back and forth, it's really engaging, it's really captivating. I keep being more entranced with the characters. It also serves to give us an emotional break, because if it was just, positive, oh gosh, what's going on, it's hopeless, that would be very depressing, but it doesn't. The movie bounces back and forth and doesn't leave us in this hopeless, not knowing where we're going type of state. The performances were powerful and the cinematography was amazing. The way that they captured their shots really drew me into the characters as well as the story. The storm scenes looked very real, and I could just imagine the terror that they were feeling as they were in the throes of that hurricane. You have the boat going up and down and up and down, and it's a little boat with really big waves, and they just, I think of the movie The Perfect Storm with Mark Wahlberg when I think of this, as it's going up and down and just being tossed about by this terrible, terrible storm. The shots didn't look CGI or even soundstage. They looked like they were actually in the middle of a storm. You also really feel the loneliness that they must have felt as the camera would pan out and you would start to see from boat to tiny boat in vast ocean with absolutely nothing around. And it's daunting, it's suffocating almost at how open it was and how tiny you are and really insignificant and probably not visible. I think knowing that this is based on a true story drew me in even more, because I was really beginning to invest in the characters, because I knew that these were based on real people. It wasn't just some made up story. Now that's okay, because there are some very captivating made up stories, but this one, I really wanted to get to the end. I wanted to find out what happened. Do they survive? What's the resolution to this? There's no sex, a little nudity, some profanity, and some gore because of the aftermath of the storm. Now, I really, really enjoyed Adrift. It's not something that I will watch frequently, but definitely something that I could watch periodically. I give it 4 out of 5 couches. Would you sail a sailboat across the ocean? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, give it a like. Don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.